for so long, it makes it a lot easier.
No problem.
To learn the ways of officiating.
Sounds great. Thanks, Scott.
Scott, it's a constant learning experience. Even for me, having been around since 1979, I still find things in the rule book. My 18 years in the CFL, every year when you're studying for your rule sessions, you're going through the rule book, you're going like, oh, I don't remember that being there. And it's always been there. It's constant learning, constant learning. You're going to find you're picking up stuff this year. You're going to find you're going to be picking up stuff next year. You're going to find you're going to be picking up stuff 10 years, 15 years, 20 years down. It's a constant learning process. And believe it or not, and I'm sure Frank will agree as well, even us who've been around for a while, we still keep coming across things and we still keep learning.
Oh yeah, there's
I don't have to
always
feel
something new. Okay, everyone, I think we'll get started here. Thank everybody for attending our fourth session. And this will be the wrap up. So it's kind of nice that we've been able to make it through this far and everybody is hopefully enjoying it. I think there was one question and I didn't quite catch it. Kerry, can you have a look at the chat?
Yeah, it's just a question. Frank, I'm having an issue with attaining my NCCP number, as for some reason I have a number, but from a different email address, which I have no idea. I've sent an email to get it sorted out. I'm not familiar with the NCCP numbers and all that, so I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, no problem. I guess I don't have an easy answer for you on that question, but if you've already sent them an email, it's possible that hopefully they'll get back to you. If not, certainly get back to me in a couple of days if you had heard back from them, and I'll see if I can't get a hold of Football Canada to find out what the problem is, because they seem to be the ones that are in charge of that, and we don't have a lot of access over how it operates or what it does. So we'll get back to you on that one.
Michelle has a question.
Actually, I can help out on that one. If you're in Saskatchewan, you contact the Coaches Association of Saskatchewan and BC Coaches Association of BC, etc. They'll be able to help you pull your CC number, no problem, and then you can hop into the locker.
Thanks, Michelle. Okay, so let's just start moving on. Today's agenda, we're going to cover the last three topic areas. One is a reporting of infractions. We're going to talk about basic rules, and then a little bit about the wrap up and the next stages in your football officiating career. Okay, reporting of infractions. Well, the first thing that you do when you see an infraction is you need to throw your flag. Okay, and the purpose of your penalty flag is to indicate that there is a foul. And not only does it indicate that you have a foul, but it lets all the other officials on the field know, and both teams know that there's been a penalty that you've seen. And you want to throw your flag so that it's visible, you can see it, and depending on the type of penalty it is, if it's an open field penalty, you're going to want to throw it to a point where the ball is at the time that the foul occurred, which is point ball held. Okay. The next thing in throwing your flag, again, as I said, you want to throw it so it's clearly visible. You just don't want to drop it out of your pocket. You want to make it visible. And if you're on the side, when you're working on the sidelines and you've got a procedure or an offside penalty, you want to throw it well up in the air so it's very visible and everybody can see, oh, we got a foul coming on the play. As I said, on an open field play, you're going to want to throw your flag to where the ball is, and it's important to throw it to where the ball is at the time of the foul, not towards the foul, because the point of application is going to be from the or possibly from the point ball held position and not line of scrimmage. Then you're going to want to make sure you get the number of the penalty of the player that created the foul, and then continue officiating throughout the play. Don't blow your whistle just because you've got a penalty. Then at the end of the play, you want to stop the play. If the ball goes dead in your area, if you're on the far side of the field, don't be blowing your play dead, because you're not supposed to be watching the ball at the time. But wait till the play is over. Wait till the player is down, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we go on. If you stop the play, make sure you blow your whistle. You're going to want to, if you've got a penalty on the play, you're going to want to signal timeout to stop the clock, and make your signal crisp and clear so that the timekeeper can see. And that's why you're waving timeout, is to let the timekeeper know to stop the clock. And then take your spot and wait for another official to relieve you, or if you have to, then you might have to wait for the referee to come to you so that you can report your penalty. So after another official taking your spot, if you're the one killing the play, if you're not, then you want to come in and you want to go to the referee, and you want to report your penalty in this manner. Either is TINS or SINS. And the T and the C stand for team, team name or color of team. Lots of times when you're doing minor football, there's lots of teams. You may not know the team of the name, but you'll know that they're wearing red jerseys or green jerseys or blue jerseys. So it might be just as easy to report the color of the team, and don't worry about whether it's offense or defense. Let the referee worry about that. You also want to tell the referee what the infraction is. I've got holding, or I've got blue holding. Then you want to let the referee know what the player number is. I've got blue holding number 52. And then you want to stay with the referee, because referees are intelligent people, but they have very short memories, and they will forget the player number that you just told them. And also, probably more importantly, they may have some questions to ask you about what happened, especially if it's a holding downfield somewhere or pass interference. They're going to want to know where the ball is, what happened on the play. So they may ask you some questions. So stay with the referee. Don't worry about going and picking up your flag. Somebody will pick that flag up for you. So the TINs and SINs are really important items.
Just a quick question: when reporting your infraction, does necessarily the order of your sins matter? Like if you go blue 54 holding, does the order necessarily matter, just so long as it's clear to the referee?
As long as it's clear to the referee, as long as you've got those 4 items that you're telling the referee, you're okay. But you want to probably first start with the team, and then whether you flip-flop the player number or the infraction, not a big deal.
Just as long as the infraction is clear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, sometimes if you're a new official, you may have to tell the referee what the action was that you saw that you felt was illegal, and then the referee will help you out with the actual rule definition. Okay. You may come in and say, well, the guy blocked the knees. Well, then the referee will know that that's a blocking below the waist infraction. Okay. Or he hit him in the back. And that's probably a good one to talk about. Yeah, he hit him in the back. Well, the referee's probably going to ask you, did he just push him or did he hit him? No, sorry, sir. He pushed him. Okay. So now it's an illegal block because it's a push in the back, as opposed to a hit in the back, which could be blocking from the rear, which then makes it a 15-yard penalty versus a 10-yard penalty. When you're working the sidelines, and if more than one official has a flag on the play, don't assume that your partner across the field has the same penalty as you. They may be calling offside, and you actually had a procedure on your side. So you want to make sure you throw your flag as well. You want to come in, and the 2 officials will actually talk and make sure that who moved first, and then report to the referee as to what actually happened. Sometimes it's hard to tell who moved first, and you may have to talk to the referee, and the referee may have to make the decision as to which side he's going to charge the penalty to. And sometimes you may have a procedure and also an offside at the same time. You may have an offside on the defense on the left side of the formation, and the far right side wideout may have lined up offside. So you could have both, but lots of times you'll have just one or the other. And then you want to also then, after the penalty has occurred and the referee and the umpire are actually marching off the penalty, you're going to want to make sure that the penalty is applied correctly and they've moved the ball to the right spot. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the penalties and the rules and their applications. As it says there, the rules are guidelines, not hard lines, okay? And one of the things you're going to need to learn within the rule book is, the rule book is sort of written like a law book, and it's got specific wording and everything else. For sure, new officials, don't get all caught up with the wording and everything else. Just read it and learn what's right and wrong. Okay, you're going to want to learn what's right and wrong, so that and you want to rule not by the letter of the rule book, but the intent. The intent of an offside is exactly that, or more so, the intent of an illegal block or a holding is an unfair advantage. So if the play is on the far side of the field and you got a holding on your side, way out on your side of the field, it's probably not something you want to call, even though legally, as it states in the rule book, it is a foul. Those are the types of situations where you may want to talk. You'll want to talk to the player after the play and say, "Hey, look, you were holding. I saw it. Don't do it. If the play would have come this way, it would have cost your team 10 yards." Okay.
Question from Scott.
Yes, Scott?
So sorry, just kind of a quick question on that, because it is kind of a gray area. Back to what you were talking about, of if the play goes to the opposite side of the field and you do notice a hold, like he's clearly grabbing him by the jersey.
You have to make a judgment call as to what effect it had on the play.
I mean,
you have to.
It's not near, but it's still technically you are, is it not?
Well, it's not you are. If he's holding them, it's a holding penalty. So it's a 10-yard penalty. By rule in the rule book, yes, it is a foul. But if it has no effect on the play, if there was no unfair advantage on the play, then why call it? Okay, and holding 10-yard penalties are ones where you have discretion as to whether you call it or not. Okay, part of our job as officials is to prevent penalties, and that's part of what your judgment is going to come to, Scott, in this situation. And this is where you can use your voice and proximity. If a guy is reaching out and starts to grab, just let him know. Don't hold them. A lot of times umpires will be doing that with their offensive linemen. Let them go, type of thing. So you want to use your voice and get in their ear. And on scrimmage play for sideline officials, you're probably going to have to wait till the play is over, then go up to the player and say, "Look, I saw you holding. You can't do that. You got to make sure that you let them go." And so it all comes with experience. It's not something that's going to happen overnight.
But if you kind of give them a verbal warning and like you see that the same player is constantly doing it, then you just kind of use your judgment at that point in time. Okay, Brandon 54 is doing illegal blocking.
I'll tell you this. Yeah, I'll tell you what happens in those situations. I'll keep talking to him, but I know he's going to be holding. And sooner or later, they're going to run the ball to that player's side of the field, and then you throw your flag, and then the coach says, "What's going on?" And then you can explain to the coach, "He's been holding for the last 6 plays in a row. The play didn't come this way, so I didn't flag it. It did this time. It's just now cost you 10 yards. Teach him properly." Okay. So on kickoffs, as we
I'm answering those questions in chat, Frank. We're good.
all right, okay, great. Thanks, Kerry. Kickoffs, as we talked about in previous sessions, you want to make sure you got 12 players on the field for both sides. Don't start a kickoff without the right number of players. Again, one of the preventative things that we do as officials is we put our gates up. That's a signal to both benches that no more players are allowed on the field. Players go off the field. If players go off the field on the wrong side, especially at the minor or community level, you're going to stop the clock, stop the play before it starts, and send the player off to the right side of the field where his bench is, or their bench, I should say. By rule again, it's a penalty. You can't go off on the wrong side of the field, but it's if the player is taking themselves out of the play, why penalize him for something that he's already done? So just stop it, send him off to the other side, and away you go again. You're looking on sidelines, you're looking for offsides, whether the teams are lined up. If they're lined up, if the defense is lined up within the neutral zone, you're going to want to use your voice again to tell them to back up and give a full yard. Extra players running on and off the field before play starts. If your gates are up and a player comes on afterwards, you're going to just say too late, something of that nature. Just to let the team and the player and the benches know that they should be getting off. It's not your responsibility to take that player off, because it's possible that the coach sent them on for a purpose. Maybe they started the play with only 11, or they only had 11 players on there, and the coach wants that 12th player on the field. So it's not your responsibility to force them off. All you can do is voice your comments that it's too late to come on. If they still continue to come on and it's your gates are up, then you're going to have a flag on that play. And as we stated before, potential infractions, talk to the players after the play if it has no effect on the play.
Frank, on that same subject about talking to the players about possible infractions, if you guys see a player pull up, you see an offensive guy lining someone up behind, then last minute realizes, oh, I can't do it, and pulls up, I usually go to that player and I go, hey, 67, thanks for easing up on him, because that would have been a foul if you continued on. And it achieves two things. One, you're reinforcing that he made a good decision to avoid a penalty. And two, it lets them know that, hey, somebody is watching me. So if you see a potential for something to happen and the player makes a good play by not doing it, I always go and say, hey, thanks for not doing that.
Yeah, right, Kerry. As well as the players then respect you as an official a lot too, because you've now given them a benefit of the doubt and you understand the game and show them some respect as well. Rules of the game. First things, you want to learn the basics first. Don't worry about all the legalese and just learn what's legal, what's not legal, okay? Then as you move on and then you've got more and more experience, then you can start delving into the rule book and the more detailed wording of the rules, and you can enforce the rules with a little more intelligence and learn the penalty applications. At this stage, as new officials, just learn what's legal, what's illegal, report your penalties, and let the referee and umpire, who are probably more experienced, worry about the actual penalty application. And as it says at the bottom, rule mastery is an apprentice program. So it's a learning experience, and it comes with comes with experience. The more games, the more repetitions you do, the better you're going to get at it, and the better you're going to learn the rules. What are the basics? Points of emphasis for the starting official in learning the rules. The rule book is broken down into 9 different rules. Okay, rule 1 is the conduct of the game. It talks about things such as the dimensions of the field, the ball, what equipment is legal, not illegal. There's a lot of miscellaneous type of, or timing of the game. There's a lot of things that are in rule 1. Rule 2 is talking about the officials. Rule 3 is scoring. It's not really rules, they're more information stuff. Then rule 4 is scrimmage plays. So that's basically all your running plays, what constitutes a legal formation, what, how many people could be in the backfield, that kind of thing. Then rule 5 is your all kicking plays and the rules around it, such as who can block when, restraining zone fouls, the protection of the kicker, those kinds of things. Then rule 6 is talking about passing, which talks about handoff passes, laterals, forward passes, protection of the quarterback, illegal contact, illegal pass interference. So that's a big one. Rule 7 talks about the actual rules and penalties. Rule 8 is the application of those rules. And then rule 9 has it's a pretty small section, and it just has some miscellaneous stuff that really didn't fall into any other category.
I got 2 questions. I'll answer them for you, Frank.
Sure.
The first question was, if the coach continues to send that player on, even if he's got 11 players and the gates are up, is it still a flag? So yes. So what I do is gates go up. Team A has broken the huddle. I go left shoulder check, right shoulder check. Oh, there's a sub. Gates are up, guys. Gates are up. You're late. Or I'm telling him the sub is late. If he continues on at the snap of the ball, I'm going to throw a flag, and it's going to be for illegal substitution. Now, by you vocalizing that, the coach may in turn go, oh, we better take a timeout. And then he might come back at you and go, timeout, timeout. Or he just might let him come on. So yes, even if it's 11 players and they send the 12th on after the gates are up, it's still a penalty for illegal substitution. And then Bryce has a great question. So as a new official, we'll spend most of our games on the sides. Once you throw a flag on a play, do you come onto the field after the play, or would the referee come to you? So that would all depend on the situation. If, say, I've got team B for being offside and then the quarterback gets sacked, play is over, I'm going to wave timeout, I'm going to run into the referee, report my penalty. Mr. Referee, I got blue holding number 66, or blue offside number 66. If it's a long pass to your sideline and the player goes out of bounds, you're going to stop the clock, blow your whistle like Frank talked about. You're going to wait till somebody comes to take your spot. Quite often the umpire will come down, look at you and communicate with you and say, I got your spot, go. And then you can run in and meet the referee, who should be working his way towards you. And maybe you're going to meet halfway. Or there may be something happening back there that the umpire doesn't make it. So you're going to hold on to that spot until the referee comes down and can see what it is that you have. So it's going to be situational. It's going to play out depending on how the circumstances are. Hopefully that helps answer what you're asking, Bryce.
The majority of the times, Bryce, you're going to go to the referee, but sometimes it's the other way around. But the majority of the times, you're going to go to the referee. Application of penalties. There are some basic points of application. There's various different things. PLS, which is point of last scrimmage. PBH, which is point ball held. PP, which is point of possession. PF, which is point of foul. And PBD, which is point ball dead. So there's a variety of different places, depending on the rule, depending on the options that the non-offending team takes, will determine where you actually apply the penalty from. Uh, Okay, unnecessary roughness, the rough play, and objectionable conduct are add-on penalties. So usually what happens is the non-offending team, if it's a penalty against the team B, team A will get the gain plus the penalty. If it's against team A, team B would have the option to go back to the line of scrimmage, possibly, and apply the penalty back from that point. So it depends. It's situational, and and what type of penalty it is that you're calling. Restricted penalties are penalties within the 20-yard line. I think the rule book may talk about the 30-yard line, but the rules have now changed so that 15-yard penalties go the full 15 yards, no matter what. So any foul that you have within the 20-yard line could be restricted. So if you're at the 18-yard line and you have a holding or I'm trying to think of
You're right. A's
Yeah.
holding inside their 20. So, yep. that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, inside their own 20, you can't go back the full 10 yards. You're only going to go back half the distance. So if you're at the 18, you're only going to take the ball back to the 9, not the full 10 yards. Any unnecessary roughness or rough play penalty, you can go all the way down to the 1-yard line, as well as pass interference that is more than 15 yards can go the full 15 down to the 1-yard line. Improving rules knowledge. Okay, regular organized methods of reading and studying the rule book. You can do it rule by rule. You can do different themes, whether it's maybe passing or running plays, that type of thing. You can read the rule book and learn it cover to cover. There's no set way of how you do it. Lots of times the rules do overlap. Some things that happen on a scrimmage play also happen in a passing type play too. So there are some overlaps. The CFOA and Football Canada are in a project right now to try to get all the similar rules into one section. So all the passing rules together and all the scrimmage play rules in one spot. So it's not quite as confusing and back and forth. But for the most part, you can learn the rule book in various different ways. In a lot of associations, rule study sessions with other officials is a great way of sitting down and talking about rules and learning about the rules and what really does constitute legal and not legal. So it depends on your association. They may have different things called rule nights or stuff like that, or maybe there's a group of officials that will get together and talk about, a section of the rule book. Study rules related to your position. So if you're working, you're working lots and lots of sidelines, which most starting officials are going to do, then you're going to want to look at the line of scrimmage type rules, the running plays, the formation rules. And then every year the CFOA issues an exam for everyone to write. And it's a great means of learning the rules. It's a good learning tool. It gets somewhat technical sometimes, but don't worry about that, especially as a new official. You're not maybe necessarily expected to know all the rules, such as in the same way Carrie or I should know the rules. So, and the rules are not all black and white. You want to learn the intent of the rule. And that's what I referred to earlier about the spirit of the rule, not the letter of the law. Okay, so some of the things that you're going to need to know as far as one of the rules in the rule book, and this is in section 1, is talking about when time stops. Well, the clock stops after a scoring play and doesn't run on converts. Now, there may be some community or minor leagues where the clock just keeps running no matter what, and only stops maybe in the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game. But for the most part, most games are going to be run where the clock stops on scores and doesn't run on converts. The clock is going to stop if the ball is carried out of bounds or goes out of bounds. Incomplete forward passes will the clock is to be killed. After a penalty is called on the field, the clock should stop. If a team is substituting 3 or more players, the referee will stop the clock to allow for substitutions. The majority of the time when you see this happen, it'll be on third down punt type plays where they're substituting a mass number of players for their kick team and receive team. The referee will kill the clock to allow those player substitutions. Obviously, if a player gets hurt, you're going to want the clock to stop to allow medical people to come on. Now, obviously, the clock stops at the end of each quarter. And in the last 3 minutes of the second and fourth quarter, the clock stops after every play, whether the ball goes out of bounds or goes dead in the field of play. And if the team calls timeout, you're going to want to stop the clock. And at any time, the referee discretion to stop it. So if there's something that the referee doesn't like, they may stop it for some specific reason. Let's say there's a rabbit running down the middle of the field. He may stop the clock and we can chase the rabbit off and then start the play again.
Make a mental note if a player calls a timeout on the, it's called by number 11. Because sometimes coaches can get irritated if one of the players timeout instead of them. So you may get asked the question, hey, Mr. Line Judge, who called that timeout? Oh, sir, it was your number 11 called the timeout. So if you can, try and make a mental note of who called timeout, the number.
Okay, one of the next things you want to make sure you know is when is the ball actually live and when it's dead. So we'll talk about live ball for the next screen here. The ball is live when it has been put into play by a kickoff or scrimmage until the field official stops the play by sounding their whistle. So the ball is live until we kill the play. If the ball strikes an official who is not out of bounds except on a forward pass. So if the ball is fumbled or kicked and it bounces off the ground and takes a weird hop and bounces off of you as an official and hasn't gone out of bounds, or you're not out of bounds, the ball is still alive. Now, if you're standing there and you get hit with a forward pass, this is usually the umpire that this will happen to. The ball is then dead. In those circumstances, the official is treated, on a forward pass, the official is treated like dirt as part of the ground. It is on the forward pass is intercepted by a player in his own end zone. The ball is still alive. It is alive if the ball is on the ground and in no player's possession. So like on a fumble, it's still a live ball. Punt or a kick, it can be bouncing on the ground. It's a live ball. An offside pass is made and or the ball goes loose for whatever reason. So if the team in possession tosses the ball forward, which is called an offside pass, that isn't deemed a forward pass, the ball is still live. There's just some specific requirements that the team making the offside pass can't advance the ball, but don't worry about that at this point in time. A ball that is dribbled inbounds. So if the ball is laying loose on the ground and somebody kicks it forward or backwards, that's deemed a dribbled ball and it's still live, but it has specific regulations within that too. So don't worry about it. A dribbled ball that hits the goalpost assembly. So if it's a ball laying on the ground and somebody kicks it and it hops up in the air and it hits any part of the goalpost assembly, it's still a live ball. A kickball that hits the goalpost assembly after striking the ground, a player or official on or after being kicked from the end zone. So a kickball that hits the ground prior to hitting the goalpost assembly, it's a live ball. Dead ball is something we'll talk about in a minute, and it's slightly different if it hits the goalpost assembly in flight. Also, if you've got a kick, one of those crazy Canadian games where we have a kick the ball into the end zone and then a return kick back out of the end zone. On the return kick, if it hits the goalpost assembly, it's a live ball. It's not a dead ball.
Frank, we have a great question
Sure.
from Simon. He says, I've had frustrated coaches trying to run the clock out by taking a knee, but as soon as they take a knee, the clock stops. Is there a method for allowing the clock management for the offense in the last 3 minutes? Okay, so let's look at a scenario on that. The coach says to you, can we take 3 knees to run the clock out? I wouldn't answer that question immediately. You might want to stop the playing, and most of the time in community football and high school football, you don't have a live clock going. Somebody on the field's keeping time. So I would find out first how much time is left in the half or in the game. And then mention to the referee, hey, coach wants to take 3 knees when it's legally possible to do that, to run it out. A good referee will say, okay, there's 24 seconds left. We'll manage that. And a lot of good referees will actually coach the quarterback in community football on when he needs to take a knee. We're not so worried about the junior levels, the university levels, or the pro levels. They have 20-second clocks. They got game clocks. But for your community levels, a good referee will coach the quarterback. Okay, take the snap, take a knee. Okay, now we're on a go. I'll tell you when to snap the ball. Okay, 5 seconds to snap the ball. Now you can take your knee. So don't try to do it yourself. Make sure you let the referee know, or he may say, hey, there's a minute and a half left. 3 knees won't do it now. So if you get asked that question by the coach, get back to him, tell the referee what they want to do, and the referee should help you manage that.
Okay, one of the things that kills the play is a player that's on the ground and is in possession of the ball. The only time that doesn't kill the play is on a place kick, a field goal, convert, or even a player that's holding the ball in a windy condition on a kickoff. So the holder is more than likely on a knee and takes a snap and places the ball on the tee for the kicker. And so they are allowed to be on their knee and the ball is still live. If the holder wants to do something other than allow the kicker to kick it, they need to make sure that they get up off their knee and run with the ball or whatever. Okay, if you've got a situation where they have a bad snap on a place kick, the ball is live, and if the holder then is fumbling around and finally gets possession and is still on their knee, then you kill the play. But if they are able to get up and get possession, then they can run the ball, pass the ball, whatever. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about a dead ball, okay, which is kind of the opposite. If it's not live, it's probably dead. So the ball becomes dead when the official blows their whistle. So it's really important that you see where the ball is at the time the play goes dead and you blow your whistle. If you can't see the ball, you shouldn't be blowing your whistle. The ball carrier with the ball is in possession and goes out of bounds. So the ball carrier goes out of bounds, steps on the white line, or goes directly out of bounds. You blow the play dead, and the ball is dead at that time. Anytime there's a score, the play is dead, the ball is dead. The ball carrier is tackled, held, and forward progress is stopped, okay? So if the player is tackled and the defense is pushing them back, you're probably best to blow the play dead. The ball carrier is not moving forward any longer, not in control of their momentum. So nothing good's going to happen on the field. There's only going to be trouble. So you're better off to kill the play. This one takes a little bit of knowledge because sometimes A good running back will maybe run into the line, looks like their forward progress has stopped, but then they'll spin and bounce out. So make sure that that ball carrier is in control, is being controlled by the defense before you blow it dead. But if they're pushing them back 5 yards, then you better for sure be blowing it dead. A forward pass is declared incomplete or strikes a game official, as we talked about before. Then the ball is dead. If the ball hits the goal post assembly or strikes the downs marker, those kinds of things, then the play is dead. Even on a forward pass, as the Rough Riders will attest to in a playoff game against Winnipeg a couple of years ago, that the ball hits the goalpost, the play is dead, and you don't get the chance to win the football game. It is in possession of a player lying on the ground or is being held by a player on a kickoff prior to the kickoff, okay? So if your ball is dead when a player is on the ground and is in possession of the ball, but make sure they have possession. Okay, here's a situation where a punt is being made and the ball hits the goalpost assembly in flight. The play is dead. Even on a convert, if it hits the goalpost assembly, it's dead. But on a convert or a field goal, if it hits the goalpost, the play is dead. You can blow your whistle. But if it still goes between the uprights, the score actually counts. Okay, player is down when any part of the ball carrier except their hands or feet touches the ground, even when contact by an opponent is not there, okay? This is a very important factor for player safety and is a major difference than what you might see on a CFL game on TV. So you don't have to be tackled in amateur football as long as any part of your body other than your hands or feet touch the ground, you're down. Okay. Okay, is there any questions in any of that, the first material that we've gone through that we haven't talked about?
Frank, just to clarify from the previous meeting in the rule change, so if in community ball or amateur ball, if a player goes down to one knee to catch a ball and then comes up, as soon as his knee goes down the ground at the new ruling, he's automatically dead. He can't have that knee on the ground to catch the ball.
That's correct. Yeah, when they're on the ground, they're on the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it makes it there. Prior to that, there used to be two sort of interpretations of the rule. One, excuse me, one was that if a ball carrier is running down the field, slips, falls, the play is dead. But you would have a returner who goes to a knee to pick up the ball, and they're able to get up and run it. So it was sort of an inconsistent thing, and in all respects, the whole reason for that rule is player safety. They're in a very vulnerable position when they're on the ground trying to pick up a ball. So as soon as they gain possession, you kill the play.
Okay, question Scott asked, if the catch is made by a player who is it incomplete if his knee is on the ground? He can go down to a knee, and if he catches the ball, it's a completed pass, but he's down immediately. So catch, control, knee down, kill the play. It's a good pass.
So I think I'll just clarify my question a little bit further, Kerry. If let's say if he's going to, let's say, dive to catch the ball and he touches the ground before he catches, but the ball ends up in his hands, the ball doesn't touch the ground, but he physically does as he's catching the ball. If his knee touches the ground before he catches the ball after, does not get up, is that complete or incomplete? Complete.
That's a good catch.
Even if his knee is on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before he has possession of the ball.
Yep.
The play isn't dead until he's in possession of the ball, and so he gains possession, but he's on the ground, so therefore then the play is dead at that time.
That's still complete, but dead at the catch.
Yes, and don't be quick on the whistle. The other thing that could happen, he could be going down on a knee to make a catch. The ball is thrown and maybe it bounces off of his shoulder pad and then it's intercepted. That's still live. So don't be quick on that one. But if he dives, makes a catch, cradles the ball, the ball doesn't touch the ground, then we've got a good catch, but he's just dead. It's just blown down. He gets the completion and he gets the yardage to that point.
So the determination on complete versus incomplete in that instance is whether or not the ball touched the ground before he has possession.
Correct.
Thank you.
Is this where we switch, Frank?
Yeah,
Okay. So touchdown, by definition, a touchdown is scored when the ball is in the opponent's end zone in possession of a player, or the ball touches or crosses the goal line or the plane of the goal line in a player's possession. So any part of that ball that breaks that plane, whether it's the nose, the full ball, I can't even speak, the full ball, you don't need the full ball, just the nose of the football. Any portion of that ball that breaks that plane is a touchdown. The body doesn't have to be in there. Same on this slide here. This is a touchdown. The ball has broken the plane. The player has possession of the ball with at least 1 foot on the ground in the end zone before he or she goes out of bounds. We have a touchdown. So all they got to do is have 1 foot in bounds and have possession, and that's a touchdown. And even if the defender drives them out, that's still a good catch. Here the player is in possession. The ball has broken the plane. A touchdown is scored even though they've been driven backwards. The important part is the ball has broken the plane while in possession of the offensive player. A forward pass is thrown in the direction of the opponent's dead ball line by any offensive player from behind the line of scrimmage, and only 1 forward pass may be thrown per down.
Can I ask a clarification on that?
Sure.
sure.
I remember there was differing rules between CFL and NFL, but what's the rule for? Is it the back foot of the quarterback, the front foot of the quarterback, the ball? Nothing's allowed to cross the line of scrimmage before they throw the ball, correct?
Release point of the ball. So if he releases the ball behind the line of scrimmage, that's fine. If he's straddling the line of scrimmage and he's making a forward motion and that release is across the line of scrimmage, then we have an illegal forward pass.
So it's more the ball where it leaves the quarterback's hand must
Yes.
be behind the line.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Theoretically, you could have a right-handed quarterback takes the snap, turns, or not turns, but say runs, and his left foot may come down across the line. His right foot is behind the line of scrimmage, and he throws forward, and his release point is behind the line of scrimmage. Pardon my theatrics. That would still be a legal pass.
Excellent.
If that makes sense.
Yep, no, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Number 81, gain possession in the air, established an inbound position with his or her left foot touching inbounds. When the foot comes down out of bounds, the ball is dead. We have a completed pass, and we rule it as a live ball carried out of bounds.
In amateur ball or in Canadian ball, all you need is 1 foot in.
Incomplete pass. Notice the difference to our previously completed pass picture, where 1 foot inbounds establishes an inbounds position and a completed pass. Here, the receiver catches the ball in air, inbounds, but his or her first contact is out of bounds. So catches inbounds, falls outside. That's an incomplete pass.
Carrie.
Yeah.
Sorry about this, but
That's
for
okay.
the note from before, they got their left foot down inbounds, right foot out of bounds, completed catch.
Yep.
Then out of bounds. What happens if their right foot comes down out of bounds first?
Then it's incomplete.
Okay. So which foot hits first matters.
Yes, you have to have something come in bounds. Something has to come in contact in bounds after possession first before going out of bounds. If out of bounds is the next frame, so to speak, after establishing possession on a catch, then it's incomplete.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Illegal procedure. It's a flag only if it's inappropriate numbering, or you don't have an end, or a player did not report as an ineligible, which goes back to improper numbering. So flag only for illegal procedure for those three things. Where you have a flag and whistle is for team A line player or players move prior to the ball being snapped. They have to be set for a second. Team A line player except the center after assuming 3 or 4 point stance may not break the stance, or the center breaks his 3 or 4 point stance to allow another player to become the center. The exception to the rule, and it happens more in the higher levels, you probably won't see it in the Pee Wee and Atom level, but in the higher levels, you might see centers or linemen calling blocking assignments. So even if they're in the 3 point stance, they might point, this is my block, this is my block. They are allowed to point as long as they're not trying to draw them offside, but they have to be set for a second after they point for their blocking assignments. Okay, next one. Offside, no player of either team shall encroach in the neutral zone on a play from scrimmage when the ball is put into play. A player from either team who crosses the line of scrimmage and makes contact with the opponent before the snap of the ball is offside. And if team A or B player who does go offside and breaks the plane of the line of scrimmage, even without contact, shall be called for offside and the play will be stopped immediately. So we're going to have flag and whistle when they break the plane of the line of scrimmage. And it's loss of 5, down repeated, or they could decline the penalty. Offside. On the neutral zone, defensive number 55 encroaches without breaking the plane of the line of scrimmage or making full contact and gets back before the snap of the ball. We have no foul. It does happen. Use of arms and hands. Legal use may be used to tackle a ball carrier. If blocking for run and pass plays provided, hands are slightly behind the elbows, even with the elbows or advance of the elbows. The arms could be fully extended. The hands shall be open with the palms facing the opponent, or cupped or closed with the palms not facing an opponent. What is illegal is the arms and hands are not to be used in striking or a punching manner, to grasp, pull, encircle, lift an opponent, or to lock, hook, or clamp an opponent. The hands may not be clasped or locked together. Sometimes holds are hard to detect. On the left side, I think that's straight up. That looks pretty much okay. It's hard to see what they're doing. The one on the right is a little more clear. He's arm barred him or he's hooked him. The one on the bottom left corner there, he's grasping. He's lost his position. It asks you to identify 5 more ways of the use of hands or arms is illegal. Grabbing a jersey is one that comes to mind. Does the next slide jog my memory?
I don't think it does. We'll just, for time convenience, we'll just keep moving on that one.
Yes, we can probably talk a full hour on holding. Pass interference. There may be legal contact between 2 eligible receivers. Here, both players have an equal opportunity to catch the pass, and both are in an equally good position. The contact may be heavy, and both players may fall from contact, but there's no foul. Here, they're trying to show us they're both making a play for the ball. There is some contact. Sometimes stuff happens.
Carrie, we've got a question from Simon here, and it's not necessarily with the rules that we're talking right there, but he's asking about being confused between 1 point and a 2 point score as far as safeties are concerned.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say 1 point is basically from a quick kicking play, missed field goal, punt into the end zone, a kickoff that strikes something in the end zone that doesn't come out of the end zone. That would be your single point. A safety is when team A either pulls the ball into their own end zone, carries the ball into their own end zone, and the play goes dead in their own end zone. So the easiest way to try to remember that is single point are on kick plays. A safety is on scrimmage plays. The exception would be a blocked punt that ends up dead in team A's end zone. But again, that's a scrimmage play. It's not really a kick play, even though the formation may have dictated that. Next slide, I think.
Yep.
Pass is uncatchable, then there's no pass interference. Be careful on this one. We have some very good athletes playing football, and their speed is really, really fast. What I would rule as uncatchable would be if there's a pass towards the sideline and the ball ends up 15, 20 yards out of bounds, and even being 8 feet tall, you wouldn't have caught it. That might be uncatchable. But be careful ruling uncatchable on the field of play because these athletes are good. Make sure it's well overthrown, not just 5 or 10 yards before you rule it uncatchable. Next one.
I've got a question here on that.
Yeah.
Do you ever, I've heard some people talk about, okay, it's clearly pass interference, but the ball is uncatchable and you downgrade it to illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Is there ever certain circumstances where you say, okay, it's not PI because it's uncatchable, but it was illegal contact, so you make that call? Or
great question. Yeah, that's a great question. So illegal contact happens before the ball's thrown. So I'm watching my key. My key runs 5 yards downfield, cuts towards the inside, and the defender grabs him. There's no pass yet. I may have a flag for illegal contact on that play. I'm going to look back. Quarterback's looking at my receiver. Yeah, I'm putting a flag down. Quarterback's rolling out to the opposite side of the field and throws the pass to the opposite side of the field. I'm having a discussion with my defensive back that committed that on that play. Now, situation you're talking about, my wide receiver's running a route. He gets grabbed 7 yards downfield, 8 yards downfield, lets him go. The pass is 25 yards over his head. I still have a foul for illegal contact on that play because the grab happened before the quarterback threw the football.
excellent. Okay, so yeah, you would never call illegal contact because the ball's already in the air. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Okay. Illegal interference on a forward pass, contact by the opponent before the ball has been touched by an eligible receiver from an unfavorable position. And that could be offense or defense. Kick from scrimmage. On a short or wide field goal, the restraining zone applies with the same blocking rules as a punt. So a field goal attempt is short or wide, they still have to give the 5 yards. The kicker shall not be blocked behind the neutral zone until the ball has been touched by the receiving team. You guys as line of scrimmage officials probably are not going to be ruling on that. The referee will be ruling on that, but that's something that you should know. What's next to being successful? Watch as many games as an official. Watch the officials. And I know Frank will probably echo this as well. If you have junior games or CIS games in your area, volunteer to be on the stick crew. You're going to get a chance to learn what the senior guys are talking about prior to the game. You're going to be able to listen to what they're talking about after the game, and you're going to be able to see how they do things. If you're holding the chain in a CIS or junior game, watch what guys in your position are doing. Get involved in the local football official association activities. You know, Frank talked about rule sessions. Some guys work a buddy system. Out here in BC, we got 3 guys that work our juniors. They actually go down to Mexico. They sit there and sip Coronas and go over the rule book. They always send me pictures. They've got the rule books open while they're sipping Coronas on the beach. So get involved with your local football officials association. Get good quality equipment. Make sure your shoes are comfortable. You know, if you're working a couple of games on a Sunday, make sure the equipment you have is good quality. Make sure you're in conditioning. Make sure you can go the 4 quarters or multiple games if that's what you get assignments for. Learn the basics first. Treat the coaches and players with respect, because you treat them with respect, you'll get the respect from 90% of them. And one of the most important things, all positions have equal importance. Just because you're a line of scrimmage doesn't mean you're less important than the referee. You have a lot of important things to make rulings on. And if you're working a game with someone who's been around for 40 years or 50 years, like Frank and I have, we're just as equal as you are on the field. Carry out your own responsibilities first, and then help out if required. Be consistent in your performance of calling fouls, ball spotting, positioning. And that's from, as Frank talked about, I think back in session 1, from the very first snap to the very last snap, be consistent. Don't blow your whistle unless you see the ball, and don't blow backup whistles. Be able to dead ball officiate. Don't rush to that next play. You have a play that goes out of bounds, the clock stopped, the ball's relayed. Make sure you know those players that are out of bounds. What are they up to? Keep an eye on them. Make sure nothing illegal happens. Every official should count downs. Call infractions when they're in your area or your zone. That if they're safety infractions, we talked about that in session 1 and 2, make that call. If it's technical stuff that affect the play, make that call. Be ready for the next play. You can't change the last play. And you're going to second guess yourselves at times. Trust me, that's going to happen. When replay was brought into the CFL many years ago, the very first year we had replay, there's not a worse feeling in the world to have a play overruled by replay. And you've got to go on to the next play. You can't sit and stew about that. So as a new official, you might have called an offside that you start thinking about, oh, gee, maybe that wasn't offside. Don't stew on that. You made the call. We've marched off the penalty. You got to be ready for the next snap. Being successful, have a positive attitude. Study and know the rules. Hustle on the field. Can't stress hustle enough. Give and demand respect, and you will earn it. Have a sense of humor, and by all means, the best part, have fun and enjoy officiating. And we'll be in touch with your local association, but please do reach out to your local or provincial association if you don't hear anything from them the next month. There's some things in concussion management in the coach's locker. Again, there's resources out there. Make use of the resources.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard from your local or provincial association in the next month, you can also contact myself or Carrie, and we'll get in contact with your local association. Make sure that they get back to you. So, anyways, everybody, thank you very much for being part of all of this, and I hope it was enjoyable and informative. And we, as senior officials, are always excited when we get a bunch of new officials that are going to join up, and then hopefully they can lead to long and enjoyable careers in officiating. Football is a great sport. It's a lot of fun. Officiating is a lot of fun. I mean, most people hate us and will love to scream and holler at us, but you get to do a lot of things. I've been able to do games all the way from Ontario west to the west coast, so which I would have never ever been able to do without having the opportunity to do football. So it's very, very enjoyable. And please, if you've got any comments or concerns, you can send them to us, and we'll try to address them as best as we can. And certainly, it'd be good feedback for us to try to improve the sessions for the next time we do this.
Are there any questions from any of the 4 sessions? I can't speak for Frank, but I've got nowhere to go, so I can answer any questions you might have. I'll take silence as no questions, Frank.
I guess not. Well, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
And again, I guess I should ask the one question. If anybody's not been able to sign up and get their NCCP number and get registered in Locker, please let me know. If you've all been able to register, that's great. And hopefully Football Canada, as well as your local association, will be getting in contact with you in a little while. We'll inform them that you've now completed the level 1 clinic and ready to hit the field. So congratulations, everyone, for taking this 4-weekend session and for your time. If there's nothing, no more other questions, have a great weekend, everyone.
Have a great weekend, and thanks for taking the time to spend time with us on 4 Saturdays in a row.